Welcome, everyone. We started the 116th meeting of the 7th Council of the Municipality of South Dundas earlier when we had a closed session. Now we will move forward with the confirmation of agenda. Madam Clerk?
And there are no changes to the agenda this evening.
Oh, perfect. Is there a motion to accept the agenda? Can't remember. Okay. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Adoption of minutes.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that the minutes of the 115th regular and in-camera meetings of Council be adopted as circulated.
All heard the motion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, now we do have a series of public meetings. Welcome, Peter Young. I have the statement to read before we start. I now declare the public meeting held by Council of the Municipality of South Dundas under Section 34 of the Planning Act to be open. There are 4 zoning amendment applications being considered. Number 1 is Zoning Bylaw Amendment 11052 Gilmore Road, Brinston, Park Centre Commons, Concession 5, Parts 1 and 2, 8R-5137. The second is Zoning Bylaw Amendment 12243 Savings Street, part of Lot 33, Concession 7. Number 3 is Zoning Bylaw Amendment 11317 Rowena Road, part of Lot 14, Concession 3. And the final one is Zoning Bylaw Amendment 5090 County Road 31, part of Lot 31, Concession 2, Parts 9-12, 8R-435. Anyone who wishes to speak in favor of or contrary to any of the proposed zoning bylaw amendments will be given the opportunity to do so. Before you make a presentation, I would ask that you provide your name and address. I'm required by the Planning Act to advise you that if you do not make an oral presentation tonight or a written submission before the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is adopted by Municipal Council, you will not be entitled to appeal the decision to the Local Planning Appeals Tribunal, nor may you be added as a party to any hearing of an appeal before the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal. If you wish to make an oral submission to one of the applications this evening, we ask that you raise your hand and proceed with your comments when called upon to speak. I will now ask our planning consultant, Peter Young, to provide a brief overview for each application. Following the overview for each file, we will open the floor to anyone wishing to make an oral presentation on this specific application. Peter?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Gardner, and thank you, Council. As mentioned, the meeting's being held pursuant to Section 34 of the Planning Act. If anyone is listening in and they'd like to be notified of the decision, they can email planner@southdundas.com and we'll provide you with a copy. So the meeting is an open forum for the public and council to gather information, ask questions, voice any comments and concerns. I'll give an overview and followed if there's any of the applicants, representatives in attendance, they may be able to comment, and then we would open it up through the Deputy Mayor for comments and questions from council and the public. This decision may be made later this evening. We do have these matters on the agenda for later this evening, or they could also be considered at a later date. As mentioned, also there is a 20-day appeal period, so if you would like notice of the decision, please send an email to planner@southdundas.com or call the municipal office. As the Deputy Mayor said, there are some limitations on appeal rights if you do not speak to the application or make a written submission. For all 4 of these applications, there are reports on the agenda looking at the provincial policy statement. So it's the province's policies that apply everywhere in Ontario and provide direction on promoting healthy communities and strong economy and preserving our natural environment. Any decision of a municipality or council has to be consistent with those policy statements. We also look at what the county official plan says, whether it's in a town boundary, if it's in agricultural or rural area or another designation. and also the zoning bylaw that applies for that property and what's proposed to change. So we'll start with 11052 Gilmore Road. So the property is to change the Brinson United Church from an institutional zone to a residential hamlet zone. And this would allow it to be used for a residential use rather than a place of worship. So it's in a rural settlement area in the county official plan, which allows for a variety of rural commercial, residential, and potentially even industrial uses. You can see here's the zoning, the changes for institutional to residential hamlet. So all the yellow properties around it are generally in the residential hamlet zone, and there's also several in the pink commercial properties as well along the main street. And as of March 28th, 2022, we do not have any public comments on this application.
Thank you. Does council require any clarification? Okay. Thank you, Peter.
The next application is 12243 Saving Street. So this is to rezone a former quarry. The license has been surrendered to rezone it from the mineral aggregate quarry zone to an agricultural zone. Would allow it to be used for uses in the agricultural zone. In this case, the owner wants to use it for residential purposes. There's also a provision for the undersized frontage, since it's a little bit smaller than what would typically be allowed. So in this case, it is extractive resource lands, licensed pit and quarry. The surrounding and underlying designation is agricultural resource lands, prime farmland. So that's the property. You can see most of it's the lake and the area around the quarry. So we have received correspondence from Ministry of Natural Resources that the license is surrendered, and the applicant, I believe, intends to build along the south part. You can see the frontage. It's a bit of a narrower driveway. That's the part that's slightly smaller than the minimum in the zone, but the lot does get wider as it goes further back. And in this case as well, there have been no public or agency comments.
Thank you, Peter. Any clarification required? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Next is 11317 Rowena Road. So this is related to a severance that's been conditionally approved by the United Counties. One of the conditions is because this is in a prime agricultural area, that the retained lot be rezoned to prohibit residential development, along with, in this case, industrial, because the existing zone allows industrial. And the purpose is to separate the industrial uses from the agricultural ones. So this property in particular has a special exception. It is agricultural resource lands, but there's a special land use district and exception in the official plan. So it does allow for a bus depot, service, sales, and repair, garage as a permitted use, even though that's not normally allowed in the agricultural zone. So the area with the bus depot and garage it will be retained, but they're severing the blue area shown on this map, and that's the area also required to be rezoned. Similar to the other two applications, no agency or public comments received as of right now.
Thank you. Any clarification? No? Good? Okay. Thank you. To our final one.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So in this case, we do have a number of comments, so I'll go through those later in the presentation. So it's 5090 County Road 31, just north of our current location. So the purpose of this zoning amendment is to rezone the rear portion of 5090 County Road 31 from agricultural to industrial special exception. And we put a recommended holding zone on that as well to allow for a future expansion of the transportation depot. This is right on the edge of the rural district and the a rural settlement area of Glen Becker. So the main, you'll see in a moment, the main use is in the settlement area, and this is right outside. It was agricultural in the 2006 official plan, But with the settlement with the Ontario Land Tribunal, now this is considered a rural area. So you can see the fronts already in the blue, zoned rural industrial. This would allow the rear part of the property. It's got a bit of an L shape, and it widens out in the back. There's some hydro lines and pipeline that are affected on the property, and you can see there's 2 residences immediately to the south of the existing operation, and some rural industrial uses and commercial north and south along County Road 31. So we sent this out for comment. In this case, we have received 3 comments. So one was from the TransCanada Pipeline. They recommend setbacks from the main buildings to the edge of their right-of-way for both main buildings and accessory buildings. And they would also like a setback for any parking or loading areas as well. So we have included their proposed recommendations or their comments in the draft bylaw that's on the agenda for later tonight. We also receive comments from South Nation Conservation. They are not opposed and do not object to the application, but noted a few things that would be looked at in terms of site plan control, including there's a water course that goes pretty much through the middle of the property and some unevaluated wetlands, stormwater management in terms of going from a green area to a paved area and needing to account for that, as well as if there's any, if they would like to move the water course or pipe it, they may need a permit as well from South Nation. But they don't object. They would like to look at these issues through site plan control. We also received one comment from a nearby resident in terms of some of the concerns they had with the application. We did, I believe Council got a copy of this, but to summarize, it's that the current operation starts early in the morning and lasts about 12 hours. There's impacts from the rumble of trucks and exhaust, bright lights. Some of the trees have been cut down and reducing some of the buffers for the property and creating some visual impacts of looking directly into the yard. They're concerned on impact on water levels, and they say in their letter they're well aware that it's zone industrial and that there's impacts expected, but they believe this will affect the enjoyment of their property. They weren't able to make it tonight, but they wanted to send a letter expressing their concerns about the application. And a representative from the applicant is also in the crowd, in the audience tonight as well.
Okay.
But that's my presentation.
Okay. Did everyone have a chance? You received the letter? Council members received the letter? Any comments or concerns on this one? Clarifying question. Councillor Lloyd, Councillor Wells, sorry.
No, I have a few things, but it's, I think once we go through everything, it'll answer itself type thing. So
Okay.
I'm
You can
just
discuss
gonna
it at bylaw too.
Yeah, that's where
Okay.
actually I'm going to bring it up.
Councillor Mellon?
No, I mean, with South Nation being on board and proving it and the work that has already been done as far as environmental impact and whatnot that's in our package, I haven't got any questions or concerns right now, Mayor, or Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Lewis?
I have no questions as of yet. I might have a question or two after a while, but everything seems pretty basic. I know the resident here does have a concern, so I'll wait until we move on.
Was there anything to be added by the residents' representative at this point, or?
Oh, sorry. This is Mr. Chatters representing Wolfpack Logistics. So,
Okay. Okay, so the other,
here
the
if there are any
industrial.
questions
Okay, gotcha.
or concerns, or to address the comments if needed.
I had a question. I'm just wondering, has there been conversation between the resident and the landowner on the industrial side, just about addressing some of these concerns?
No, my client wasn't made aware of the letter until we got it on Thursday, so he
Okay.
had some discussion.
Okay.
We went through all of the comments. They're all fairly typical My client wasn't aware of it until we got the letter from the municipality on Thursday. All of the issues that are raised are site plan related. Like, they're all how we develop the site. And I admit the hydro went in and did an awful lot of tree cutting right along the property line, because that's where the line is. And there was some interference they were afraid of, so they did a lot more work than my client actually have done on the site in terms of causing some impact on the abutting neighbor. We have no concern with putting in some landscaping and fencing and things like that, and as we do the site plan development, that's all fairly common.
Okay.
Also, my client is more than prepared to dim the lights in the evenings and things like that, because he wasn't aware that there was a problem being caused by him. They're primarily on for security purposes.
Okay.
He is going to be adding some digital security as well, so he can put in the proper cameras that'll pick it up on low light if there's any issues. So he'll definitely work with the municipality when we do the site plan for this.
Okay. Thank you for your feedback.
Well,
Pete-
if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Does anyone have any questions from that? No? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Young, do you have anything else?
No, that concludes my presentation, and there's the 4 reports later on in the agenda.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Mellon, that the public meeting to consider 4 zoning bylaw amendments be closed at 6:17 p.m.
You've all heard the motion? Carried. Okay. So we do have a delegation tonight. Do we have a delegation? Okay. We have the Iroquois Lawn Bowling Club. We've got Mr. Beaupre joining us. Oh,
Oh, yeah,
I just, not a big deal, I don't have it, but I always put a little note
Sure.
when I go, so.
sorry.
okay. I think I might have had an extra one I could have given. So that's page 163 if anyone. Oops.
I can email him.
Oh, no, the Lawn Bowling Club. Our delegation is 163,
Wife would live the weekend.
I believe. Yeah.
But he was going to have 2 other people on standby. No.
Yeah. Yeah. One. That's what it says here. Delegations 163. No.
See him on the there, so maybe we can proceed, and if he pops on after, we can
Okay.
go back.
Yeah, sure. We'll be able to see when it pops on. Will you guys be able to see when he pops on? I can, yeah, okay. All right, so we're gonna move on in the interest of efficiency. So we'll move on to action requests. So the first one is ES 2022-06-B-204-21, assessment schedule update.
Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that Council accept report ES 2022-06 to approve the new assessment schedule percentages as outlined.
Okay, welcome Justin.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me tonight. In front of you is a report regarding a severance application from one of our residents. One of the conditions of severance from the planning department is an updated assessment schedule.
Keep going. Yeah.
Updated assessment schedule should the property in question fall within the watershed of one of our municipal drains. Okay, sorry for the interruptions.
That's okay.
Okay, so this property does fall within the watershed of one of our municipal drains. Section 65 of the Drainage Act deals with assessment schedule changes for severances or subsequent connections or disconnections from a municipal drain after the final revision of an engineer's report. 65 subsection 2 is the part that deals with mutually agreed assessment costs on land splits, which is what you have in front of you tonight. So essentially, all owners must agree to a fair portion of the original cost from the engineer's report, or in this case, they did percentages. So for future maintenance, it makes it easier for myself. The owners of all 3 properties in the split have come to an agreement as outlined in the attached letter. So I propose this be passed by resolution, as the portions do look fair to myself.
Hi, Mr. Beaupre.
Participants 3.
Hi, Mr. Beaupre. Hi, sir. We can hear you. We just,
thank you.
we'll just, about 5 minutes, and then we'll hear your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, carry on, Justin.
If passed, I will file the paperwork with the rest of that drain so that any future maintenance can be levied in accordance with this letter that was sent in to us.
Okay.
So there's 2 reports that it affects, because there's the old section and then there was a new section done. So that's why there's 2. It's the same drain, but 2 different assessments.
Okay. And we have the letter signed and agreed to.
Yep.
Correct. Okay. All right, Councillor Wells.
I have no questions on it all. It's,
Councillor
That's the
Mellon.
way to do it. Everybody in agreement, everybody go home happy, let's drive on.
Okay. Councillor Lewis.
No, it seems pretty basic and everybody's in agreement. I'm good with it.
Good work, Justin, and carry on.
Thank you.
Oh, whoops, we need to have a motion, do we not?
You
Yeah.
just need to call
Yes,
the motion
you've all-
because it's already been read.
Yeah, you've all heard the motion? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We now are going to have our delegation presentation, Iroquois Lawn Bowling. Mr. Beaupre will present. $163 in your council package. Okay, thank you. Welcome, Mr. Beaupre. Can you hear us? We cannot hear you, sir.
There.
Oh,
No.
there you go.
So we're good now?
Yes, thank you. The floor
Okay.
is yours.
Thank you very much. So this is a request for support from council to install a new equipment storage building at the Iroquois Lawn Bowling Green. The storage building is now required for the equipment used to maintain the lawn bowling court. For many years, this equipment has been stored in a barn on a local farm. This arrangement is now coming to an end, so an on-site equipment storage building is essential. The best location for the new building is adjacent to the court, immediately to the south of the present equipment storage building that is there. This will allow the equipment to roll out directly onto the court. This location and concept was agreed last summer at an on-site meeting of stakeholders, including municipal staff, representatives of the Iroquois Lawn Bowling Club, and the Iroquois Waterfront Committee. Continued support for this proposal has recently been reaffirmed by the Waterfront Committee. The building size of 10 feet wide by 30 feet long has been determined as being large enough to contain the many pieces of equipment to be housed, both for regular summer maintenance as well as specialized equipment Because the building appearance has been designed to be attractive and coordinate with the existing small building and surroundings, it should be well accepted by the local residents and the campers. The new building is to be located just south of the current small storage building and aligned with it. A portion of the chain link fence on the west side of the green will be removed to accommodate this. The height and depth is to be the same as the present small building, which will be repainted to match. The color and appearance of the new building will be coordinated with the adjacent campground building, which is now also the clubhouse for the lawn bowling club. The building is to have an 8-foot wide electrically operated garage door, as well as a personnel door. Location of these doors is currently being finalized during a detailed design process. Because members of the club are not municipal employees, the building is classified as being for public use. This requires drawings which have been prepared and sealed by a structural engineer. This process is currently underway at a local engineering firm. The cost of the engineering is being totally funded by a local citizen, so is not part of a funding application. The expected cost of the building will be probably in the range of $40,000. More accurate costing will be available on completion of drawings when approved by the stakeholders. I trust that council will be able to support our application for funding as described above. This will continue to support healthy, affordable recreation for our seniors who have been able to enjoy this sport ever since the club was founded in Iroquois about 100 years ago. Another thing is we have a sand pit that is located next to our present equipment storage building. And what we would do once we have the second building erected, we would move the sand pit down to sit between the two buildings and basically make it disappear out of sight. And we would access that sand pit by putting in a new gate in the fence. So I can assure you that the funding for this building is 100%. We don't have to rely upon your budget to put this building in place. I have applied to New Horizons grant for seniors. I asked for $24,000. That was 10 weeks ago. I have yet to hear back from them. But I assure you that there is an organization that is in full support of the funding of this building, as well as a private individual. So that's all I have to say. Over to you. Thank you.
Mr. Beaupre. This council, we'll go around. We'll start with Councillor Lewis. Questions or comments for Mr. Beaupre?
Now, Ron, if I hear you right, the new building is going to be just south of the double grad shed that's there now?
That is correct.
Okay. How much of the, is it going to block the people from across the street from seeing the river, or is it going to block them whatsoever?
No, sir. This building is going to be lined up with the present building. Basically, if you're over on the street, Elizabeth Drive, looking back towards us, all you're going to see is the two buildings sort of side by side. And it also lines up with the new campground building, to the extent that the view across to the river has already been obstructed by that building, those buildings that exist, so it won't make any difference to them.
Okay. One more question. The equipment that is going to be put into the building, are you going to cover the insurance on that in case somebody breaks in?
Well, if somebody breaks in and tries to steal a sand, as far as insurance goes, we do have insurance through the Ontario Lawn Bowling Association, but most of that insurance is liability in case someone is injured on site. The equipment, the reason we need 300 square feet, I guess I should back up a little bit, is when we had all of the equipment in one place last fall, I took careful measurements of every piece of equipment and added it all up. And if you had every item absolutely jam-packed in one space, you need 200 square feet. So having said that, it makes sense to have 300 square feet. On one side of the garage door would be all the equipment we use just for, there's a sand spreader, there's an aerator, there's a set of rakes. We fertilize and seed it, so we have spreaders for that. And then on the other side would be a rider that we use 3 times a week. And beside that is a garden tractor with a water-filled roller attached to the back of it. And we use that 3 times a week.
Okay, no, that's good. Thank you very much.
Is there anything else that I need to say, sir?
No, not from me. Thank you.
Councillor Mellon?
Not really. I mean, you've got outside funding sources. You want to put it on our
I'm not hearing
property,
anything.
our property, basically. Eh?
Is your mic on?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Go
Yeah,
start
no, I
again.
haven't got any questions. I mean, I can give them my blessing, if you will, to put it up. It doesn't cost us, they've got the funding, secured, I guess, through other sources and individuals. So, yep, good.
Okay, Councillor Wells?
No, I have no issues, Ron, with this. The only thing you were saying, you're gonna try to mock the campground building, what it looks like. Does he hear me?
I don't know. Mr. Beaupre, can you hear Councillor Wells?
Okay.
Oh,
I can now. Everything
Okay.
went quiet and the video stopped.
yeah. Councillor Wells,
Okay.
if you can ask your question again?
Okay, can you hear me now, Ron, before I go through my spiel? Which is a non
Yes, go ahead, Lloyd.
Okay.
Thank you.
So what I was saying, your tent for the building, I have no issue with the building. Financing's all in there, which is good. But you were saying about mocking the campground building as far as the 10 by 30 you're building, correct?
What we're going to have is the siding on this new storage building will match the siding on the existing, the new campground building. And the roofing material, I believe, it's an offshoot of the new campground building.
Because I'm just giving you a little insight on that, like, this is just opinion to you, like, what it's gonna cost, like, I know you wanna make that building look good, but, like, you could save yourself a lot of money by putting not going with those Wakefield shingles and the siding you're going there, like, I would go gray and maybe with a gray steel, just putting it out there. I know you probably have the money for it, but it's
Yes, we
just
can.
going to be a lot more money
I
spent.
appreciate that. Thank you, Lloyd. We can color match the siding of the new building to the campground building, but we also intend to go further. Right now, the old storage building that is located at the green is painted a dark red color, and we're going to color match that building to the existing campground building.
Which it'll look nice. I'm just saying about if you're gonna match exactly what's on that campground building, you're gonna have probably one of the most expensive sheds in Iroquois. But anyways, no, I'm good with everything.
Okay. Thanks. So,
Thank you for that. I'll try to trim the expense down as much as I can, but it's all up to my committee. That is, I'm working with a local contractor, and we are keeping the expense in mind, believe me.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Beaupre, for your presentation. We appreciate it, and I guess there'll be some back and forth with the staff as you build the building.
So you're saying, yes, I can plan
Well,
on
is there a
putting it in the
motion,
building?
or will we come back with a motion?
We can certainly, what we've done in the past with respect to delegations is under discussion.
Okay.
Speak to it again, and we can prepare a motion for consideration
Okay.
and discuss any sort of agreement that we would entertain.
Thanks, Mr. Beaupre. What we will do is we will have a discussion later on in our meeting. Hello? Yeah, I think you're frozen, Mr. Beaupre, so we will carry on with the meeting and have a further discussion coming up. Are we able to? There you go. Okay. All right, so we're back to our action requests. We've got FS 2022-02 infrastructure tax rate options. Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Wells, that council accept report FS 2022-02 to postpone the consideration of a special infrastructure levy until the 2023 budget.
Now, we had discussion about this and made a decision, but go ahead.
Yes, and through you, Deputy Mayor. The decision was coming, what was made in, sorry, excuse me, start again. March 10th, we had the committee of the whole meeting. We went through what infrastructure was and what the requirements were needed, and that upper government funding was not guaranteed, but also that with respect to the times we're in now, may not be the time to put together a special levy. So this levy is written, or this particular action report is written so that you can approve the conversation for next time. I know it wasn't now. I wanted to, at one point, write a negative staff report or conclusion, and it's always hard to vote on a negative, so I tried to frame this in a positive and push it because I think, yeah. So I know it wasn't for the 2022 budget, and there was conversation of pushing it to 2023, so that's where I went. I believe the mayor, whenever he was sitting, said try to keep it action orientated, so I put that executive summary nice and quickly. I suppose you've all read it. We had the discussion for those, I think I summed up for those in the audience, in that those are the three main points where we have a deficit, common amongst most municipalities, upper level government funding is not guaranteed, but there are considerable financial realities we have to realize for the citizens of South Dundas. So I'll leave it to council for questions.
Okay, I have a question. With this, so you're asking us to approve that you bring it back in 2023 to the new council?
Yes, for the next budget cycle.
Okay. What if they don't want to see it? Like, how do we, you know, like we can direct you to push it off to the next council, but if the next council does not want to have the discussion, like, I'm just,
Yeah,
go ahead, Mr. CAO.
It's more to keep it on the record, so we will bring it back to the new council, but if that council chooses not to introduce it, then it can be pushed at that time.
Okay.
It's just not to lose sight of the fact that we had the conversation at the committee of the whole, and that we will plan on bringing it forward to the next council.
Okay. And the other quick question I had, politics aside, because you're dealing with politicians, have you, like, when you do are you recommending that we continue with this and that it's a good idea, or like keep the politics out of it, if you will, and just if it's good for our citizens as the treasurer, is this something that you are supporting?
So yes, as the treasurer, I am supporting it. I suppose through asset management planning, you'll see me come back before you at least before July 1st to meet that requirement. And then the next requirement would be July 21st of 2023. So this conversation, particular to the levy, might be something that this council, next council may not want, but the asset management conversation would be one we'll continue. And from an administrative standpoint, I'd support, or I'm very for this conversation. Council, like politics aside, it's good at least to have the numbers. and then to have the levels of service conversation, because I don't think municipalities have had that in depth like this.
Yeah, and my apologies to the rest of council, but I just figured those two questions to just kind of lay the thing. So, Councillor Wells, do you have anything to add or concerns?
No,
or-
we've talked about this in the budget, and we've had other discussions on it. I agree, it's I think down the road it's needed, but we're just coming out of this pandemic. I don't think it's a good time to put it. Our citizens are barely getting by now, so for us to, I think it wouldn't be a good thing for us to add something like this. But down the road, like you said, whether the other councils or whoever's going to be there listen to it, but I support like just keeping it on the thing and something to look at. And with our tool, with our asset management all in line now, or mostly in line, it just gives us something to either we can say, okay, this is black and white's right there, like how are we going to do it? Is it going to be taxation? Is it going to be levy? So it's just something. It's something we need to do, but not now.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Wells. Councillor Mellon?
We need to do it now, sorry. I know, I can hear what everybody's saying, and I brought it up at budget time and about adding more,
Now, the question on the table, though, is whether we keep it in discussionary terms for the next council, because we've already had the vote on proceeding with it.
we gotta keep it at the forefront. You know, I made my point on where I think we need to be with this, but yes, we need to keep it at the forefront and make sure the staff bring it back up to a 2023 budget.
Thank you. Councillor Lewis?
Well, you heard me very loud, very clear at the committee of the whole. I don't have an issue with keeping it on the table for 2023 for the new council. I just feel that our citizens are paying enough as it is, and with the COVID just being over, I think if we raised it at this time, that it would crush a lot of families. So I don't have an issue with bringing it back in 2023. So, yeah.
Okay. Council, you've all heard the motion? Okay, carried. Thank you. Okay, the next action request is TS 2022-04, procurement of permanent modular bridge for Taylor Road. Welcome, Jeff.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by
Councillor Wells, that council accept report FS 2022-02 to postpone the sorry, I'm going to start over.
Postpone if you want.
What you want to say?
Incorrect motion. Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that council accept report TS 2022-04 to award the procurement of a permanent modular bridge to Algonquin Bridge in the amount of $285,249.92 plus HST.
Now I get to say welcome, Jeff. So that is the thing that was sent to us, right? A little
Today.
bit later, Council, so it's not
The
in
secondary
yeah.
report, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. So during the regular council meeting on February 14th, staff informed council that it may be advantageous to pre-order the bridge materials before the actual construction tender is issued. This would result in a sole sourcing. However, in discussions with Harold, our engineer, the competition is limited as Acro, however, bought maybe Bridge, and there is another bridge manufacturer naming Algonquin Bridge as the other bridge supplier of this style. Pre-purchasing eliminates contractor markup, and it carrying costs and provides certainty of supply and delivery time. This was sent out to two companies, Acro Bridge and Algonquin Bridge, and the closing date for this offer was to be received by March 25th at 12 noon. The municipality did only receive one submission. However, the second one did come in after the closing date and was since eliminated from discussions. I can answer any questions which you have at this time.
Okay. Councillor Wells?
No, we had a discussion on this. This is the Algonquin Bridge. The Aqua Bridge is the one from England? Is that the company that's from England? That bought, there was two companies. Aqua Bridge bought who?
Maybe Bridge.
Bought what?
Maybe Bridge.
Maybe Bridge. That's a nice handle, eh? Maybe Bridge. So this Algonquin Bridge, where are they from? They're the ones I take it didn't get their,
They're the ones that are offering a bridge of equivalency. So it's going to mimic the same as what Acro can supply, just it might be a different style here or style there. But those two are incomparable for bridge designs, for these prefab modular style bridges.
so it was, go ahead.
Just, I can add, Acro is from Toronto and Algonquin is from Thorndale, Ontario.
Okay, because when we were having a discussion with Harold, the companies he was talking about were both from, apparently there was none in Canada. That's what I'm getting at. There was none in Canada, apparently. Now there's two, and the one in England that merged with Maybe Bridge, they were never contacted, I take it?
We sent out two offers to, two emails, sorry, to Acro, that is out of the United States, where they fabricate the bridges, and to this Algonquin Bridge.
Okay, unless my hearing is wrong here, I just thought Aqua was out of Toronto. Or that's where they make them in the States and, okay,
Yeah.
now.
You got it.
But it is American company. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. This here, I think is, I know single source or whatever, but we're saving money because you are eliminating a markup from a contractor, which that's how contractors make their money, right? They mark up their things. So I have no issue with this at all. I just had to get the companies kind of, because I was hearing different names and I seen this report and everything, so. No,
we're good.
I'm good with everything
Okay.
now.
Councillor Millen?
Yeah, I'm all right with pre-ordering the bridge. I'm still a little skeptical, but I mean, basically you're dealing with what's on the field, and that's the lack of competition out there, I guess, if you will, in that bridge design and building sector. The only other thing I would stress is, well, there's two. Delivery date, and, well, there's a few here. Taylor Road Bridge is still there, as I sent the email out today. I'll get to that one in a minute, and the communication plan is not required. So when that bridge comes out, or like, I mean, we gotta communicate that to the people back there. We can't just, it left a pretty sour taste in a lot of people's mouths when that bridge was closed basically overnight when it was done. So we gotta make sure we communicate this. And you've got not required in the communication plan. Well, we need to do, there's only 4 houses right there. A knock on the door, a letter, something in the papers, the bridge is closed, but when the bridge will be coming out, for sure, and when the new construction period will be.
Okay, CAO Garrity?
So just to speak through you, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Mellon, so when we say no communication required for the purchase of the bridge right now, there's no communication needed.
Oh, okay.
When we go to the removal, we will definitely reach out to the residents around there to communicate the removal.
But I'm looking at, the RFT TS 2212.
Yes.
As far as removing the old bridge.
Yes.
Have we communicated clearly with that, when that will be done? And just out of curiosity, when did half loads come on?
Beginning of March.
So we missed it, and we were gonna, because we had a contractor gonna take it out by the 14th,
Yeah.
but half loads went on. Okay, I
Yeah.
can live with that. I mean, I wasn't crazy about seeing the bridge still there, but the boys can still travel across it. Shouldn't have said that out loud, but anyway, beside the point. Yeah, so we can drive on from there, and yeah. Whenever the half loads come off, then bridge will be coming out. Okay,
Yes.
and I think that needs to be conveyed when that'll be happening, just to the land, just to the homeowners right there, and as far as I'm go, buy the bridge, get it over with, ding, dang, bang, let's go.
So just for clarification, when did the half loads come off?
So
moving date?
that's normally a joint venture between all 6 of us within the SD&G.
Yep.
We kind of all operate together, as well as Prescott Russell, just for consistency, so that if people are traveling in SD&G, it's the same coming from South Dundas to South Stormont, and it's weather dependent.
Okay.
If if it warms up here, it could be sooner. If
Okay.
it stays this kind of weather, it could be longer.
Okay.
Normally, the beginning, I'm hoping to be mid to tail end of April
Okay,
is
okay,
on an average.
okay. All right.
Oh, sorry, 'cause supplemental, in that bid, do we have a firm delivery date on that bridge?
Jeff?
So through you, Deputy Mayor, that is based off of the contractor who wins the construction portion of it. That'll then be between the contractor and Harold to set up the delivery date, is how it's going to fall down.
So there's a couple of moving parts, right?
Yeah. This is for the purchase of it,
Yeah.
that we're guaranteed, and then it'll be setting a date for delivery, because we want to have it so that we can roll in with the equipment there, that they can offload it off the trucks and start with the installation process of the bridge.
Okay.
So it's
long
not
as-
sitting around.
Sometimes when you get more bodies involved, things can get, let's drive on. I'm good.
Okay. Counselor Lewis?
No, I think we're going down the right road by pre-ordering. You know, I was in favor of that to start with. But other than that, now this new company that we got the tender from, much of a difference in the price of the bridge from the other company?
I can't tell you what the price of with the other company, because we didn't look, because they didn't meet the 12 noon deadline, so that was null and void. So as far as I know, we've got one price at $285,000, and that's where we go.
But did we,
Shannon?
sorry.
So through you, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Lewis. So in talking to Harold, where Algonquin has come in at 285, it is in line with what Harold was expecting as far as an estimate.
Okay,
Yeah.
nope, that's good, thank you.
Okay. All right, you've all heard the motion. Those in favor? Okay, carried. All right. All right. Bylaws. Got a slew of them. Madam Clerk?
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Wells, that bylaw number 2022-35, being a bylaw to rezone 11052 Gilmore Road in Brinston, more specifically known as Part Center Commons, Concession 5, Parts 1 and 2, on 8R 5137, from institutional to residential hamlet, exception 32, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you. Any comments, concerns, questions? We're good? You've all heard the motion. Those in favor? Carried. Next one, Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Mellon, that bylaw number 2022-36, being a bylaw to rezone the former quarry at 12243 Savings Street, more specifically known as Part Lot 33, Concession 7, from the mineral aggregate quarry zone to a general agricultural exception zone, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Questions, comments, concerns? All right, you've all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. Next one.
Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2022-37, being a bylaw to rezone part of 11317 Rowena Road, being the severed portion of consent application B 20421, more specifically known as part of Lot 14, Concession 3, Part 1, 8R 4202, from General Agricultural Exception 14 Zone to a new General Agricultural Exception 81 Zone, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Okay, you've all heard the, any comments, concerns, or questions? Okay, you've all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. Next one, Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2022-38, being a bylaw to rezone the rear portion of 5090 County Road 31, Bank Street, more specifically known as part of Lot 31, Concession 2, Parts 9 to 12, 8R 435, from the General Agricultural Zone to the Rural Industrial Special Exception 5 Holding Zone, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Okay, any comments, questions, or concerns or discussion on this one? Councillor Wells?
Yeah, I just want to just add some comments, basically to regard to the resident there that sent the letter and read the letter. It looks like the company that's, this transportation company that's coming in is willing to work with the residents, so I'm sure everything's going to be good. I do like to see this is going to be another company coming in, more tax dollars coming in. It's good. There's jobs down. They're going to be spending money here. So, and I think if going by the report I've seen here, they already did their phase 1 for their environmental. So this is, I think it's going to be good for our municipality. So.
Okay, thanks, Councillor
Definitely.
Wells. Councillor Mellon?
No, I think, it's already been addressed that, some of the issues that were brought up can be somewhat controlled or reduced, if you will, through site plan and, site plan control agreements and stuff like that. And, as it was mentioned, that some of the issues, maybe the owner of the property maybe wasn't even totally aware. So at least, the discussion can come forward now on, issues that somebody, might have. And as Councillor Wells has already mentioned, I think they're more than willing to work with the nearby homeowners and in the municipality and through planning and site plans and stuff to make this a go. So, no, that's it.
Councillor Lewis?
No, that was the question that I was going to ask. And whenever I said that I would hold off until we got to this point, but the gentleman in the back answered it for me very nicely. And it's good to see that this company will work with the people or the residents of South Dundas. I'm very happy.
Okay, and I agree with council. So you've all heard the motion. Those in favor? Carried. All right, the next one is 2022-39, repeal mandatory face covering policy. Madam Clerk? Yep.
Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Mellon, that bylaw number 2022-39, being a bylaw to repeal policy 3-24, mandatory face covering policy, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Okay, just one sec. My computer has stalled. Okay. Who's going to speak to it?
Sure, I can
Yeah,
do that.
thank you.
So by way of background, in September of 2020, this council, on the recommendation of the Eastern Ontario Health Unit and the province and federal regulations at that time, adopted this policy 324, a mandatory face covering policy for all municipal facilities and staff. And as you're well aware, effective March 21st of this year, the province removed this mandatory masking requirement for settings inclusive of municipal settings. So at this time, we are recommending that this policy be repealed. And I'll also just refer to CAO Garrity, who also had a meeting with the Health and Safety Committee to get their opinion.
Okay.
Just to inform council that we did have a Health and Safety Committee meeting on Friday. The Health and Safety Committee are in support of repealing this bylaw. With the fact of that memos that have gone out to all staff, that if staff who feel comfortable in wanting to continue wearing the mask, they can choose to do so, but that it will not be required to enter any facilities or municipal buildings.
Okay. Any comments, discussion? No, the only comment I had, and we had that with our emergency management thing, was the hope, because I am noticing that it's probably 50-50 split, where folks are still wearing them when they're shopping and stuff like that. And I just encourage everyone, whether it's in the municipality or out in South Dundas, that people respect people's wishes and you know, don't bully them because they're doing something different than what you're choosing to do. It is a choice, and I think our community's better when we just mind our own business. So thanks, Shannon. You've all heard the motion? Carried. Okay. 2022-40, appoint drainage superintendent. Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2022-40, being a bylaw to appoint a drainage superintendent, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Okay. CAO? Yep.
Mayor and Council, so very pleased tonight to make a recommendation to appoint Justin Moran as our new drainage superintendent. He recently went off to Guelph and completed the drainage course, so very happy to have him as our fully appointed drainage superintendent for South Dundas, effective immediately.
Congratulations to Justin. Councillor Mellon, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. No. I just want to say one thing, Deputy Mayor Gardner, and to staff, that we have finally got ourselves, I think, on track. We've been spinning our wheels for 2 years. Just the feedback I'm getting out there and what I have experienced through Justin, that he's on top of things, he's moving forward. We've got more drainage work planned, and he's holding meetings, and you know, the communication out there to the agricultural community, you know, and so it's a hell of a relief off Mayor Byvel's and
Heck
my
of a
shoulder
relief.
to have somebody.
Yeah.
And all council.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know, Councillor Lewis or
All I want to say is congratulations, Justin. I should have said that to you last week when I was talking to you, but duh. I went a little brain dead for a bit, but congratulations and welcome aboard. And I know that you'll do an outstanding job for the municipality of South Dundas.
Councillor Wells?
No, I'm good with everything. Just congratulations on your achievement, and we'll get some drainage work done here.
And I just want to say thanks, Justin, for your hard work and getting certified. And this has been a process of frustration, although those of us that aren't familiar with drainage, it's been an excellent opportunity for us to get up to speed. And sounds like you're off to an amazing start, and keep it up. And it's great news. So you've all heard the motion. All in or those in favor? Okay, carried. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, 2022-41 SNC Sewage System Management Agreement. Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2022-41, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with South Nation Conservation Authority to deliver Part 8 of the Ontario Building Code pertaining to the design, construction, operation, inspection, and maintenance of sewage systems, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. So this is a renewal of our partnership with South Nation Conservation, in which they administer and manage the Part 8 under the Ontario Building Code, which is the sewer systems. It's something that's been worked out quite well with South Nation since their inception in 2011. They work closely with our building inspector and our CBO to ensure that it meets all requirements before issuing occupancy. It also includes decommissioning of our sewer systems, and I'm sure Councillor Mellon can probably provide a little bit of input sitting on the board. The one question I did have when we did meet with South Nation, myself and our CBO, is to ensure that the fees that are being charged are cost recovery. I did get that confirmation from South Nation that they do try to manage the fees so that they're not making a profit off it. It's more of a cost recovery of their services. So if council has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Well, Councillor Mellon, looks like you're getting to sneak in your SNC
Yeah.
report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Gardner. And yes, I mean, this agreement works good. I think there's 13 municipalities plus the rural portion of the city of Cornwall that use the South Nation for this. It's a good deal for South Dundas. We don't have to bring Code 8 under the building code in-house. Yes, on a yearly basis, South Nation, they give a report to the directors on a cost recovery on their fee schedule. And yes, that's one thing that we always try and keep up to that it's cost recovery so that they're, the costs are not coming out of the general levy or another fund. They're basically, I think it's running around 98% overall, all their fee schedules, and then there's some grant monies and whatnot that kick in to make up. So they try and get as close to cost recovery, and it's, I think this year was 2% increase on their fee schedule from the previous year. So yeah, it's it's a good deal for, I think, South Dundas.
Thank you. Councillor Lewis, any comments, questions?
No, the CEO answered my question because my question was about the fees.
Yeah,
Because you know me, I'm a penny pincher.
yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Councillor Wells?
No, I went through the fees because I had to use them on a thing here and just put things in perspective. The fee I paid last year, this fee is up 2.4%. Just a little more, Councillor Mellon. Just saying though. But anyways, no, they do very good. Like when it comes like my experience with them last year with what I was dealing with them, just as smooth as can be, and it was good. So I have no issue with this.
And I appreciate you getting that answer for us, because that was my only question, was it should be cost recovery. So that's perfect. So you've all heard the motion. Those in favor? None opposed? Carried. All right. And the last one under bylaws is 2022-42, Veterans Affairs Agreement.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2022-42, being a bylaw to approve the contribution agreement between Her Majesty the Queen in Right of Canada, as represented by the Minister of Veterans Affairs for the commemorative partnership program, be read and passed, signed and sealed in open council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. So I believe Councillor Mellon did provide Council with an update the last meeting in regards to the successful application of $25,000 under the Veteran Affairs in regards to the work that is scheduled to commence in 2022 for the Iroquois Cenotaph. So this is the agreement just to execute the funds that will be managed by the municipality, similar to what was done in Matilda a few years back.
Perfect. Councillor Mellon, did you have anything to add?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Gardner. Yeah, it's just the money's got to funnel through.
Yep.
So it's just a formality.
Yeah, and so.
Okay.
There's more funding coming in, but yeah, this was just to finalize the funding agreement.
Okay, if there aren't any further comments.
I just have a couple comments here. Like, kudos out to Eric there for getting this all going. Like, it's he's very passionate about this, and like it's another beautiful project. What we did in Matilda was very beautiful, and at the end of the day, it's money well spent. It's a very good thing to honor our veterans. That's it.
Okay. You've all heard the motion. Those in favor? None opposed? Carried. All right. Members of council are good to continue going, or did you need 5 minutes?
I'm good.
Okay, let's continue going. We have the consent agenda. Lots of interesting stuff in there, including our council remuneration and expenses, the insurance renewal, Brinston and Williamsburg streetscaping report. We've got the master plan update, recreational programming update, mass notification system policy update. I do believe that's coming for further discussion at some point. Wastewater treatment system annual reports, Morrisburg Waterfront Committee minutes, Economic Development Committee minutes, Tourism Advisory Committee minutes, Iroquois Waterfront Committee minutes. We have the BIA, that's fabulous to see, their minutes. Plaque project update. Do have the resolution regarding North Stormont Public School, and we've got a report on new electricity supply facilities. So, yes, there's a motion. Thank you.
There is, yes. Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Wells, that all items listed under general consent section of the agenda be adopted as presented.
Okay, perfect. You've all heard the motion. Those in favor? Carried. All right, boards and committees. I will start with County Council. So we had a meeting last Monday. Interestingly enough, we did have a delegation from Alexandria about family physician recruitment. So there was a discussion. I did bring them up to date on the efforts of South Dundas and South Stormont's committee to attract and recruit doctors, and we are well ahead of this. So I'm not sure how the counties will look at it, but I did share some of the work that's already been done. We did talk about the education equity, the next steps. So and I have to say this because I always mention the education thing here. One of the reasons that I did do it is it's interesting. 6 years ago, it popped up. It showed from 6 years ago on my social media feed that we had saved both schools, and at that time, we had said that we would carry on the discussion. So, hate to sound like a broken record, and just by saying that, I'm showing my age. But it's important enough. So now the counties are going to make that a standing committee, and we are hiring Dr. Paul Bennett to give us the crisp action plan that will launch us into the action part of this discussion. So good for that. We did have, let's see, I'm just wondering if there's any, we did do the tenders and quotations for microsurfacing, concrete box culverts, pre-purchasing, storm sewer assessment management, steel pipes, the corrugated ones, and the central line markings. I did ask about, some of our residents have wondered why the markings around the roundabout seem faded. And I guess it's one of those cases where it's layered of paint over time. It gets more stable and brighter, but I did raise that to Ben. I'm just looking, that was pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Cemetery board.
No meetings.
Iroquois District, never mind. Mooresburg BIA.
Well, as you see, there was a
Yeah, it was
in the
exciting.
agenda.
Yep.
We had a very good meeting. Our next move is to set up a AMG meeting, and then we can go ahead and start doing our summer things.
Great work. Great work. Let's see. South Nation.
Yes, there was a meeting March 17th, Deputy Mayor Gardner, but I was tied up over March break with a family commitment, so I did not get there. So I'll have to give you a double whammy next time. I'm just not comfortable reporting on until the minutes are approved. Since I wasn't at the meeting, a few things I pulled out of the agenda that I think I can share. The spring tree planting Forest Ontario program, they're planning on around 148,000. La Rose Forest, the underplanting there to help spruce that one up is about 43, and the over-the-counter program is about 125,000, or no, 12,500, sorry. And the free tree giveaway will be planned in May. I think they're coordinating with our staff. There's $500 for South Dundas, $500 worth of trees. And the Chesterfield Dam upgrades have been completed. They had to do some upgrades there. And the Municipal Information Day, which is April 6th, which will be held virtually, and then the April 21st is South Nation's AGM. And I believe the Municipal Information Day, the agenda has been circulated, so I'm going to try, touch wood, to take part in it, but if any other member of council or staff would take, it can be very good. And not as good as, the virtual. It'd be nice to be there in person, but, been a while.
Any word when they're going to go back in person? Because it
Well, it was in person in March, plus, if I would have been there, they're still allowing virtual. The AGM, unless things change, will be virtual unless people are uncomfortable yet. They can still take part virtually, but it'll be
So
in
it will
person.
be in person?
Sorry,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
it'll be in person unless you're uncomfortable, and then they will give you the coordinates or the link to take part in it virtually. So,
Okay. Thank you. Morseburg Waterfront Committee, we're actually having a meeting this Wednesday. Our main focus this year is the pathway lights, and they did come back over budget like everything else. So we're going to have a discussion to figure out how to address that. I should mention, and I meant to mention at the beginning of the meeting, Mayor Byvelds is feeling under the weather. That's why he's not here today. South Branch Committee Fund, Councillor Mellon.
No, haven't had a meeting called yet. Their closing for their application was just last week. No,
it was actually Friday that it closed, so
Yeah.
I'll confirm with staff if they've received any applications. We'll forward it to the South Branch Community Fund Committee, and then from there they
Yeah.
can schedule their meeting.
I haven't heard anything from the chair from the meeting.
Okay. Carmen House.
I have not heard nothing.
I have a question about that. Are we, like, has the decision been made to just not open it this summer, or like, what are we?
The last time we had a meeting, I thought we decided that it was going to open.
Okay, because people will wonder why it's not open, especially with the Forward House doing some activities. They may assume that there's going to be.
Well, maybe I'll give Murray a call, see what's going on, because I've been thinking about that for the last couple of weeks now. There's just don't seem to be any communication.
Okay. Dundas, okay. Tourism Advisory Committee, the minutes are in the package. We did have a thorough discussion about all different things. I think I gave an update last meeting, actually, so we'll move on. The same for the Economic Development Committee, I gave an update last. And the Doctor Advisory Committee, we're still playing tag with the province, correct?
Yep, correct.
Awesome.
But we have sent some stuff to the Eastern Ontario Health Unit, hopefully to push it a
Yeah.
little bit too.
Okay, perfect. And I think that's probably key with the doctor recruitment is we do all seem within SDNG to be in that same boat. So it will, I think, turn into, I think we'll still do our own thing locally, but there'll be maybe some collaboration at the top. Okay, so we've got discussion item B, which is the JW McIntosh Community Support Services waste collection request. So CAO, is that your one to address?
Certainly, I can definitely give council a little bit of the background. I think if council has questions, I certainly will take them. But my preference would be is probably try and collect as much information as I can and bring it back to a future council meeting. But for a number of years, this property has been allowed 14 bags. I don't know where that number came from. I tried to go back to the history books to see. It's been a long time that there's been allowed 14. It's deemed to be institutional, but if you look around South Dundas, some apartment buildings have dumpsters, some don't. So I would like to at least do a little bit more research on this and bring back a more fulsome report to council on kind of the reasons on why, or if the reasons that we need to increase it. If we would look at the current bylaw the way it stands at 2 bags per unit, this would allow them 76 bags. In their letter, they're indicating that they're probably on average anywhere between 25 and 30. So it might be something we definitely look at, but I'd like to do a little bit more research on it and bring it back to council with more information. But definitely open to listening to council's comments and some questions too that I can add to my list.
So the CAO will come back, but let's just, if there's comments or questions or concerns.
Yeah, I just have a couple comments. I agree, looking into it, bring it back. What I would recommend is to see, because this is a seniors apartment building, it's not a nursing home. So I don't even know why it's institutional, how it got that. But I would check on, like, we have a seniors home over here. We have a seniors home in Iroquois. So there's 2 senior homes. I maybe check out their garbage, like the Hartford and all that. They're institutional because they're a business, but the seniors home. And if they're like Iroquois and Morseburg are getting 2 bags, well then they'll get 2 bags. So
Okay, so Councillor Mullen,
I gotta
anything?
sort of agree with what Councilor Wells, like, I mean, you know, without knowing how we're treating the other senior homes and stuff, so, yeah, find out what's going on, and you know, I do agree, I don't know why it's institutional, or, you know, or what the logic in behind it being labeled that way, but, yeah, let's find some more.
Okay. Councillor Lewis?
Yeah, I want you to come back to us. Where those 14 bags come from, I haven't got the foggiest idea. But where 76 bags come from, I think that's outrageous. We're a family of 2 at home. We set out a bag of garbage a week. So I don't have an issue with upping the bags, but not upping it to 76. Like that's absolutely crazy.
So that's good. We'll get a comparison, see
Yeah.
what's fair, and have a further discussion. So that
Absolutely.
makes sense. Okay, so the next one, which I just loved, is on page 337. The Iroquois and District Business Group, Iroquois Plaza proposal.
So I can
Sure.
speak to a little bit, Deputy Mayor. I was at the meeting that our Economic Development Officer, as well as the Mayor and myself. Basically, the Iroquois Business Group is looking at doing some revitalization in front of the Iroquois Plaza. And basically what they're looking for is just council permission to proceed with some preliminary designs, look for some funding opportunities, as well as there was some discussion about a library box that they'd like to put up. So more of just a general discussion with council and buy-in from council to proceed.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I'm for it, but I have no issue letting them start the process, doing their things. But like, it would have to be a full, like a delegation, them coming back, because I would like to see first thing like site plans and all that. Even though it's, I know what they're all adding there, but you site plan how you're not going to make it look cluttered and stuff like that. What's going to happen once you take your pavilion, all this stuff, like once, the way it says here in the thing, they're going to get the money and do it themselves and that, they just want the thing. But it's like everything else, once it's built, it comes back to us. So I would want, like, who's going to maintain that stuff and just things like that. Yeah, that's basically just to see, I'm all for it. Start your things. I'm not going to disagree, but I definitely, before I would say, okay, this there, I want to see everything exactly before they go ahead and do it. So.
Councillor Mullen?
Yeah, I can somewhat agree with Councillor Wells on this. Like, I mean, I have no problem. Like, you know, it's great that they want to do this, but you know, there's some things here I think we need to finalize and get a few more details and whatnot. You know, the removal of the existing plaza entry sign and a replacement installed. I think we need to have a little more information on that, exactly where and what, and you know. But I mean, it's great that they're going to go ahead with this, and but you know, the information's a little bit. It's sort of just the start of it. I think we need to be a little more get a few more details on it.
Councillor Lewis?
I don't have an issue with them doing what they want to do. But as my colleagues across the way said, every time somebody builds something or does something, it always comes back to the municipality. Like, how much work can the employees do? I think they have their hands pretty full with what we got now with picnic tables and stuff like that. So yeah, I would like to get a little more information on this, and I know where they're coming from with their sign, because the sign that's along the road is pretty raggedy. I will have to say that. Yeah, so if we get a little more information, I don't have a problem with what they want to do. The only place I have a problem is how much work can we put our people through? Thank you.
I think this is absolutely fabulous. I think it's a starting point. I think it will do a lot. I mean, right now, Iroquois, and I hate mentioning the villages because I consider it to be all South Dundas. But as far as restaurants and that type of thing, it's attracting a lot of attention. I think that they are not biting off more than they can chew. That's a very active group. And I think that something like the placement of the 8-foot high Adirondack chair, you know, I would ask where they're going to store it, because if it's wood, maybe, then, you know, it won't last as long. Tourism Information Board is awesome. The sheltered pavilion will actually help with the lifespan of our picnic tables. If you're putting it under there, they're not getting the sun beating on them and the rain and stuff. And the signage is key. I mean, the sign has been run down, so I don't think the 4 things that they're mentioning, I mean, I get it is, and knowing this group, I can see where they will plan it out, walk it out, that type of thing. But I think it's fabulous. I think they should be commended, and they obviously want to move forward with some stuff. So I look forward to getting, I guess, more details about their plans, which they'd have to do anyway for an agreement, right, Shannon?
Correct. The only thing I'll add, and for some direction from council tonight, is does council have an issue with the lending library box that they're proposing to install?
No. Well,
Okay.
yeah, no.
Okay,
No.
all right.
No.
No, and to the deputy mayor's point and Councillor Wells is, you know, I'll reach back out to them and have them kind of put more of a site plan together as far as locations and diameters, you know, conceptual plan on where they're looking at putting it, so that it's not, you know, all in one area and it's
And
thought out.
that's just so the vision is clear,
Absolutely.
I think. I don't want them to feel like we're, you know, not encouraging this, because I think this is amazing. I think it'll look great, and if it's not all clumped together, they can spread it out. That's a big chair, and
Yeah.
no, I think that's great. The library box too, they may find is a good spot to have another one for tourism pamphlets.
Yep.
I know that's what the winery does at Stonecrop. They have tourism books in there, and they're out of the elements and stuff. So, no, I think that's great.
The other thing I'll add too is they did actually apply under the counties for funding for some of the Adirondack chair, I think.
Oh, nice.
There was something that just closed last week, so
Yep.
our economic development officer worked with them to get an application in, and we'll go for
Yeah, yeah.
So.
No, that's great.
Okay.
That's great. Okay, the last thing. Oh,
I just got one more comment. It just,
Sure.
a light bulb came on. About the business sign they're proposing. Now, I'm assuming it's going to be a sign that's similar to Morrisburg. It's going to be lit up and stuff like that. So that sign, at the end of the day, we're going to have to own that sign anyway. You know what I'm saying? That has to be, we got to maintain it. We maintain
maintain that.
Morrisburg.
Yep.
And now, since we have all these new bylaws from the counties and all that, with signs, it's, hopefully it's
Absolutely.
just direct them to say, reach out and make sure, like as far as signage goes and all that, it's,
well, it's not clear. Does it say that it's going to be lit up? I just,
well, if you're gonna put a sign, I assume what I would recommend, they do, like the Iroquois Business Group come back and do like a delegation to the next council for, to put it in their budget, because obviously it won't be done this year. And I don't think it's something that they should have to pay for anyways.
it looks like it might potentially be sponsored by Ross.
So you're talking about so the sign that's out here at the plaza was paid for by the BIA?
Yeah.
So the municipality does not pay for those
No.
types of signs, it's paid for by the businesses. We maintain them moving forward though.
Well, yeah, because I see our electrical contractors there and stuff.
Yes.
there. So
So we
So I
make,
guess
that's why
more-
I'm saying we're,
Yeah.
it
more,
might be done by them.
more clarity, I think, is
Yeah.
what we need.
But
right?
we're, like, I was saying, what I'm getting back to is about maintaining of the pavilion and all that,
Yeah.
which is fine, but the sign at the end, whether we pay for it or their Iroquois District Group pays for it, we still have to maintain that because we do it for,
yeah.
so I kind of got ahead of myself there a little bit, but
Yeah.
backtracking, I think.
Just in our package, it looks like it's potentially being sponsored by Ross Video. Seems to be the indicator. So, okay.
Okay.
All right. The other thing I guess we did have was the lawn bowling. So we've heard the presentation from Ron about the new shed. I don't know, where do we, yeah,
have a resolution for your consideration.
If you'd like.
okay. Yes.
Sure. So moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Wells, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas support the request from the Iroquois Lawn Bowling Club to construct an additional storage shed on municipally owned lands, and that staff be directed to draft a lease agreement inclusive of necessary insurance requirements to be brought forward for Council's consideration at a future meeting.
Okay, so we're, I guess, discussing, staff will come forward with a plan of the plan. So, Councillor Lewis.
No, I'm in favor.
Okay. Councillor Mellon.
I'm good.
Okay, well, you've all heard the motion. Those in favor? Okay, carried. No notices of motion?
No.
Okay, ratification bylaw, please.
Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2022-43, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
All heard the motion. Those in favor? Carried. Thank you for joining us tonight. That was nice, efficient, nice to chair a meeting. So thank you, and thank you for being okay with my little trip ups. I appreciate it. And adjournment.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by
Councillor Lewis, that council now adjourn at 7:32 p.m. to meet again at the call of the chair.
You've all heard the motion. Those in favor? And carried. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.